May 8th, 2026. No press conference. No White House briefing. No prepared remarks from a cabinet secretary standing at a podium with flags. A website appeared. The United States Department of War quietly uploaded 162 files to a new government portal called Pursue, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP Encounters. 120 PDF documents, 28 videos, 14 images, materials from the Pentagon, the FBI, NASA, the State Department. Historical records classified for decades covering unresolved sightings dating back to 1944. Just files. Available to anyone. No login required. Within 12 hours, the site had recorded 340 million visits. Within 3 weeks, 1 billion. The government had been saying for 70 years that there was nothing to see. Apparently, a billion people disagreed. To understand what May 8th, 2026 means, you have to understand everything that came before it. For the better part of a century, the United States government maintained a consistent institutional position on unidentified aerial phenomena. There was nothing to explain. The sightings were misidentifications, weather balloons, atmospheric anomalies, the psychological byproduct of a public conditioned by science fiction. Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official UFO investigation program, was shuttered in 1969 after 22 years of operation. Its closing statement declared that no UFO case had ever represented a threat to national security, and that no evidence of extraterrestrial vehicles had ever been found. Case closed. Then in December 2017, the New York Times published a story that reopened everything. The Pentagon had been quietly funding a program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AARTIP, to investigate military encounters with unknown objects. The program had been running since 2007. The public had no idea it existed. With the story came footage. 3 videos taken by Navy pilots showing objects that maneuvered in ways that appeared to violate known physics. Sudden acceleration, instantaneous directional change, no visible propulsion system, no thermal exhaust plume. The Pentagon later confirmed the videos were authentic. In 2022, a new office was created to formally investigate UAP reports from military personnel, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO. In its fiscal year 2024 report, AARO disclosed that it had received 757 new incident reports in a single 13-month period. Across all categories, the office was actively reviewing more than 1,600 cases. More than 1,600 cases under active review by a permanent government office whose entire purpose was to investigate things it officially could not explain. And then, in July 2023, something happened that made every previous development look like prologue. David Grusch was a former Air Force intelligence officer and member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. He had spent years as a UAP task force representative, with access to classified programs across multiple agencies. On July 26, 2023, he sat before the House Oversight Committee and testified, under oath, subject to federal perjury laws, that the United States government had, over multiple decades, recovered materials of non-human origin. He said the programs managing those materials had been deliberately hidden from congressional oversight. He said the people who tried to report what they knew had been retaliated against. Congress does not routinely hear testimony like that. On the evening of February 15, 2023, United States Navy Senior Chief Operations Specialist Alexandra Wiggins was serving aboard the USS Jackson, a littoral combat ship operating off the coast of Southern California. He had 23 years of service. His specialty was radar operations. He knew what aircraft looked like on a sensor screen. What he saw that night did not look like an aircraft. The object first appeared on radar. Wiggins moved to confirm it visually. Standing on the bridge wing, watching the object rise from the water, he went through his mental checklist: clouds, atmospherics, optical effects, drones, and eliminated each one. The object was rising too fast, moving in ways he had not seen in over 2 decades of tracking aerial objects professionally. Then 3 more appeared. On September 9, 2025, Wiggins testified before the House Oversight Committee. He was, by official record, the first active-duty Navy service member ever to testify publicly before Congress about a UAP encounter. He described under oath 4 objects emerging from the Pacific Ocean, displaying advanced flight capabilities, leaving no visible propulsion signatures and no thermal exhaust. The encounter was captured on multiple military sensor systems simultaneously. He said, "What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our systems." He used the word stigma. He told Congress that sailors needed to know they could report UAP encounters without damaging their careers. He said that without that assurance, the data would keep disappearing, not because the objects weren't real, but because the people who saw them were afraid to say so. Luis Elizondo, the former director of AARO, testified before the Senate in November 2024. He described a systematic pattern, credible military witnesses reporting encounters with objects that demonstrated capabilities far beyond current aerospace technology, followed by institutional silence, pressure not to report, and in some cases, career consequences. Neither Elizondo nor Wiggins is a fringe figure. Elizondo ran a classified Pentagon program. Wiggins is an active duty radar specialist with 23 years of service. Both testified under oath. Both described the same pattern: objects that defy explanation, followed by institutional pressure to pretend they don't exist. If the answer was nothing, why was there pressure to stay quiet? So what is actually in the files? The first Pursue release contained 162 records spanning over 80 years of documented encounters, Pentagon materials, FBI reports, NASA mission records, State Department files, documents covering more than 400 distinct UAP incidents. The second tranche followed on May 22nd. 64 additional files weighted heavily toward video, 51 infrared and sensor recordings from military platforms, plus 7 NASA mission audio recordings. Among the second tranche videos, infrared footage from August 2022 showing 4 objects in apparent formation flight over water in the Central Command Area of Responsibility near Iran. A separate recording of a small metallic sphere demonstrating what the Department of War's own description called instant acceleration over Syria. The official statement accompanying the release said the materials had been reviewed for security purposes, but that many had, and this is a direct quote from the Pentagon, not yet been analysed for resolution of any anomalies. The government released footage it hasn't finished analysing. 4 days before the second Pursue drop, the National Security Agency released 334 pages of documents that had previously been classified at the top secret UMBRA level. UMBRA is not a standard classification. It is a signals intelligence compartment used when the NSA assesses that the information, if improperly disclosed, would cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. The UAP-related documents that fell under this designation had been withheld for over 4 decades. The release came through a Freedom of Information Act appeal based on a lawsuit that dated in its origins to 1980. A 1980 lawsuit, resolved in 2026, 46 years. In a single month, May 2026, the United States government released more official UAP material than it had in the previous 70 years combined. And there is a tension at the center of everything the government has released. The official line is that no confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial technology or non-human intelligence has been found. That is the current official position of the United States government. Now hold that statement alongside these facts. These materials were classified for up to 80 years. Military pilots who reported encounters faced institutional pressure not to report them. Active duty service members have testified under oath before Congress that they were discouraged from filing official reports. The January 2024 Inspector General Review found that the Department of Defense had no comprehensive UAP policy, no standardized reporting procedure, no clear chain of custody for sensor data, no unified framework for investigation, no policy, for a phenomenon that the same institution had been recording and classifying for 80 years. More than 2 reports per day, every day, for a year, from military personnel. And the conclusion remains, nothing confirmed. You do not apply UMBRA classification to balloon sightings. You do not pressure active duty service members into silence about atmospheric anomalies. You do not keep something from Congress for 80 years if it isn't, on some level, significant. Why has the official answer never matched the official behaviour? At 1 p.m. on June 9, 2026, a group gathered on the steps of the United States Capitol. David Grusch, bipartisan lawmakers, investigative journalists, whistleblowers, researchers. Their demands were 3. that President Trump used the authority of his office to declassify specific UAP files, that Congress passed the UAP Disclosure Act, and strengthened whistleblower protections, immunity for intelligence officials who come forward, an end to administrative retaliation against people who report what they have seen. Grusch told reporters that the US government is aware of, in his words, several kinds of extraterrestrial life, ranging in biological and technological complexity. He accused the Defense Intelligence Agency of actively obstructing the release of files that President Trump had already directed to be declassified. The files are real. They are publicly available. Anyone can read them. They show a government that has been tracking, classifying, and in some cases actively suppressing reports of unexplained aerial phenomena since the 1940s. They show military sensors recording objects that demonstrate flight characteristics the government's own analysts cannot explain. They show Umbra-level classification applied to UAP incidents across multiple decades. They show a permanent office receiving more than 2 military UAP reports every single day. And they show the official conclusion, stated quietly in every accompanying document, that none of this constitutes confirmed evidence of anything extraordinary. The files are out. The witnesses have testified under oath before Congress. The sensors recorded what they recorded. What the government has released is, by any measure, more significant than what the conspiracy theories ever claimed, because conspiracy theories can be dismissed.